Takehiro, born the 27th of October 1990, is a Japanese serial killer and rapist. He is also known as the Twitter Killer, which he was labeled as in most media reports at the time of his sentencing. In Zama, Japan, between August and October 2017, he murdered 9 people, mostly young women including 3 high school girls. Takehiro Shiraishi was living in an apartment in Zama, a city in central Kanagawa Prefecture. Reportedly, he stalked Twitter and contacted suicidal people asking them to come to his house so he could watch them commit suicide. He offered to either assist or watch them kill themselves. A friend of his indicated that he had indulged in choking games with school friends, and signs of his later victims indicated that they had been strangled to death. Before his move to Zama, Shiraishi had worked as a Kori Scouto, a scout who lures women into brothels to work in the sex industry in Kabukicho, Tokyo's biggest red light district. At this stage, people had started warning locals about him, describing him as a creepy scout. Shiraishi then moved from Tokyo into an apartment. One of the missing woman's brothers started an investigation on his own to find his sister. A woman assisted him by contacting Shiraishi and setting up a fake appointment. They both involved the police. The police then arrived at the apartment and asked where the missing woman was. Shiraishi indicated she was in the freezer. Police found 9 dead bodies in the house, all of which had been dismembered. In 3 cooler boxes and 5 large storage boxes, police found heads, legs and arms from his victims. Neighbors corroborated the events by confirming that foul smells of rotting flesh had come from the house. Shiraishi had discarded elements of the people into his bin, which had been taken away in the recycled rubbish. 8 of his 9 victims were women in their late teens to early 20s. Police investigation had confirmed the missing woman had been walking with Shiraishi on the 23rd of October. Shiraishi confessed to killing and dismembering the 9 people. Before he committed the murders, Shiraishi had told his father his life had no meaning. Shiraishi claimed his motive was sex. He wanted to use his victims' vulnerable states to manipulate and sexually assault them, fulfilling his fantasies and not having to worry about them denying his advances. On the 1st of October 2020, Shiraishi pled guilty to 9 murders, and on the 15th of December 2020, he was sentenced to death. He has indicated he will not appeal his sentence. In June, 1 month after he was given a suspended prison term for being a scout for a prostitution ring, Takehiro Shiraishi told his father that he saw no meaning in life. Jobless, the 27-year-old cocooned himself further in the dark recesses of social media. He used Twitter, a medium he once used to lure girls into the sex trade, to meet people with suicidal thoughts. The gruesome Halloween find of 9 human heads and 240 bones in his studio apartment in Zama City, an hour and a half from central Tokyo, has spooked Japan and again shown a light on suicide and mental health issues in a country that even has a suicide forest. Japan has the 6th highest suicide rate in the world. Some 21,897 killed themselves last year, a 22-year low, while there were 257 reports filed with the Internet Hotline Center about suicide attempts. His grades were not stellar, but he was a conscientious student who did not miss a day of school. News pictures show a scrawny teenager with thin-rimmed spectacles who joined his junior high's baseball team as a freshman, and then the track team as a senior. Shiraishi grew up in Zama with his parents and a younger sister in a house roughly 2.5 kilometers from his loft apartment. He was a quiet, inconspicuous boy who went to local elementary and junior high schools in the city, acquaintances told Japanese media. He went on to study at the prefectural high school in the city of Yokohama, and it was around this time that things fell apart at home. His parents divorced, and his mother and sister moved out. After graduating from senior high, Shiraishi took on a series of odd jobs including at a supermarket, food factory and pachinko parlor before becoming a scout for a prostitution ring. He was active in Shinjuku City Kabukicho district, and was once described as an ambitious, dangerous man who is capable of betrayal. One woman, who cohabited with him for 3 months earlier this year, said Shiraishi was unusually more gentle than ordinary people, despite a morbid fascination with death and suicide. He had sent her messages such as, "Let's commit suicide together," and once texted, "I have killed a hostess who said she wanted to die," which the former girlfriend dismissed as a joke. Shiraishi was close to his father, who works at an automotive design workshop, neighbors said. The son frequently helped out at the workshop, and occasionally had dinner and drinks with his father. In August, he confessed to his father that he had met the love of his life and would urgently like to have his own space. His father acted as guarantor for an apartment in the neighborhood that rents for 19,000 yen, $227 a month. On August 22, Shiraishi moved into the 13.5 square meters apartment which Japanese media has described as the House of Horrors. While living on his own, Shiraishi built up a small following on Twitter through at least 2 accounts, "I Want to Die" and a professional at hanging. Under the first account, He cast himself as a forlorn victim seeking company for his misery. "I want to forget everything," he wrote in an August 25 post. "I want to disappear." Under the second account, he took on the persona of someone who is skilled at helping people die. "I want to spread my knowledge in hanging," he said. "I really want to become the source of strength for everyone who is in pain. If you are at a dead end, please consult me," he wrote. He also sought out his victims using the hashtag suicide recruitment on Twitter, preying on young girls who wanted to take their own lives. He told them via direct messaging on Twitter, "Let's die together." To ensure his victims would not back out at the last minute, he would arrange to meet them at a train station near their homes, then travel together to his apartment. He said he gave them alcohol, tranquilizers and sleeping pills to make them relax before assaulting them. Takehiro, born the 27th of October 1990, is a Japanese serial killer and rapist. He is also known as the Twitter Killer, which he was labeled as in most media reports at the time of his sentencing. In Zama, Japan, between August and October 2017, he murdered 9 people, mostly young women including 3 high school girls. Takehiro Shiraishi was living in an apartment in Zama, a city in central Kanagawa Prefecture. Reportedly, he stalked Twitter and contacted suicidal people asking them to come to his house so he could watch them commit suicide. He offered to either assist or watch them kill themselves. A friend of his indicated that he had indulged in choking games with school friends, and signs of his later victims indicated that they had been strangled to death. Before his move to Zama, Shiraishi had worked as a choristers.